And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 8 seasons. Let's make it 9 in 2021. But enough of me. I'm here for you on today's episode of the FB Show. We're back, and we're going to be talking about the NFL draft and my reaction to some of the landing spots of these incoming rookies. A lot of things happened this draft, and I really wanted to let it all sit. I want to take it all in and analyze what some of these landing spots before I just gave some instant analysis after the fact. So we're here. Before we go any further, I do want to thank all of you guys for checking out the content. The channel is currently on fire in large part because of you and the rookie videos. I'm glad you guys are enjoying those. So thank you for liking those videos. Thank you for subscribing if that got you over here. And hopefully you guys will stick around for many more videos to come. A lot of content coming down the pipe the rest of the year, and I'm really excited about that. But enough rambling. Let's just dive right in. The 2021 NFL Draft Reaction by Fantasy Vulture. Let's fucking go. So, pretty easy. We're just going to start off at the top, and we're going to start off with Trevor Lawrence, drafted by the Jaguars. This is something that we knew, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. Pretty simple. He's going to be the guy. And I know that's not, groundbreaking analysis by any means, but you look at what he has to work with in his first year there. You have DJ Chark. You have Marvin Jones, who they brought in this offseason. They draft his college running back, Travis Etienne, a guy who we might as well just talk about now. We'll just stack these two guys together while we're at it. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the guy. And I'll say it, if you guys watch my Trevor Lawrence video, I have concerns that a few people aren't talking about, and by a few I mean a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people really just crown Trevor Lawrence as the holy one, as the chosen one, and that was the end of the conversation. But there are flaws within his game. It's not going to be enough to break his NFL career by any stretch of the imagination, but it is just something you just kind of have in the back of your head, hey, maybe he's not quite at the point where I think a lot of people expect him to be at. I do expect a few rookie growing pains. There really is not a whole lot of weapons on this roster, right? You have Chark, you have Marvin Jones, and you have Etienne, but outside of that, they don't have a really strong wide receiver core. There's no tight end in sight, unless you consider Tim Tebow a tight end. Okay, yeah, no. So I do expect them. I do expect there to be some growing pains with Trevor Lawrence. That doesn't mean he's going to be bad for his career. It's just saying that maybe lower your expectations from where you think they might need to be for a guy like TL this year. And then let's just talk about Trevor Lawrence, or let's just talk about Travis Etienne while we're here. Wow, wow. Yeah, R.I.P. James Robinson, as many of you guys are aware by now. I don't buy the bullshit that Urban Meyer came out and said that, hey, Travis is going to start off as a third down running back. No, he's not. No, he's not. Are you fucking kidding? You don't draft a running back in the first round, which is what they did. Talk about that. We'll get to that in just a moment. But you don't draft a running back in the first round and utilize him as a third down back. You just don't. It doesn't make sense. This is when Travis Etienne is going to be at his absolute cheapest, and you're going to only utilize him in 33% of your plays? Abso-fucking-lutely not. No way in hell. So if you are a James Robinson owner, RIP. And if I were you, I would try and flip James Robinson to the Travis Etienne owner coming out of your Dynasty rookie draft. That feels like something where I would actually try and do it before. If you know that there is a guy in your league, or girl, in your league, who is gunning for Etienne, you try and flip them James Robinson immediately. Just try and get something in return so you aren't left just holding an empty asset. Now, James Robinson could be traded, who knows. But it's definitely this very weird scenario where Robinson comes off of this incredible rookie season being undrafted, and they go out and spend a first-round draft pick on Etienne. Etienne coming into Jacksonville, if he gets the workload that I'm expecting him to, he should be very good. Again, my comparison for him was Alvin Kamara. If you missed my Travis Etienne video, just has a lot of the same skill set, athleticism, and just I think his game's going to translate really well. And again, you get that familiarity playing with your college quarterback. And I was talking to my buddy about how fearful would you be of the Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence stack. And I started this conversation. He asked me this actually. And I said, I don't know how fearful I would be I feel like there are a few other running back, quarterback stacks that I would rather have. And then I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, well, wait a second. Let's just dial this back. If you were told, hey, you have to face Clemson every game. If you told me any given week you had to face Clemson in that offense, how scared would you be? The answer is like, I'm fucking scared shitless. And that thought is what really changed my tune on Travis. One of the things I said during his rookie profile was that it just didn't add up to me. I felt like just going through some of his tape, it's like he's good, but like there are just moments where like you were left wanting more, and then you dove into his stats and like there was no real line of consistency. Like there'd be one, he was always great at scoring touchdowns, but you'll get where I'm going with this. There would be times where it's like, okay, 1 year he had the highest touchdown total. The next year he had his highest rushing total, and the year after that his highest receiving total. And it was like there was no real through line that connected all three, and it was just really bizarre trying to figure out where Travis Etienne goes from here. But overall, landing spot's great for him. Again, lining up with Trevor and Urban Meyer, I mean, that's going to be one hell of a combination. So I came into the draft questionable about Travis Etienne, and now I'm at the point where it's like, oh yeah, like surefire, you got to go get that guy. All right, now let's continue. Let's go back to quarterbacks here. We're just going to kind of bounce around. I have a list in front of me. We'll see how on track I get, but who knows. We're going to talk about Zach Wilson now going to the Jets. And again, this is also something that we knew, and this is a weird one for me because I started off this offseason in love with Zach Wilson. And then as I watched more and more tape, I'm just like, there's something missing. And that's not to say that he's bad by any means. And in fact, I call him my Jumpman King because he wears the Air Jordan headband during games, which is a fucking swag champ right there. But I don't know. He has a cannon. He's accurate. He makes great plays. And I think the thing about Wilson, this is obviously a concern that a lot of people have, it's just how much of his stuff is it going to be able to translate to the NFL? Playing kind of down a step at BYU in terms of competition. I mean, we've seen lower end collegiate quarterbacks thrive in the NFL, so I don't really put too much stock in that. Especially we'll talk about somebody else in just a second who proves that point. But is there just something missing there in his game, right? Like I can't pinpoint it, and that's why I'm having such a hard time trying to articulate it, but I just watch it and it's like, all right, bomb throw, show me something else. And that's where that disconnect is. That being said, if you guys have been following this channel for a while, you know I'm a closet New York Jets fan. I will never come out and fully say I'm a fan of the New York Jets. I'm a closet fan of the New York Jets though, and they continue to do things this draft that I really like. And in fact, I think we're just going to circle. If there are teams that double up offensive skill players, we're just going to just group them into one. But with this team, where you have Denzel Mims, you bring in Corey Davis, you have Jamison Crowder, you also draft Elijah Moore, a guy who I fucking love, and you bring in Michael Carter, and you have a Michael Pirine, like, there are actually weapons here for Zach Wilson to succeed in New York, unlike what Sam Darnold just had to go through. And that's what gives me hope, because one of the things that we know for sure is it doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are. If you have the weapons turn you into fantasy relevant. They turn you into fantasy relevance at the quarterback position. We saw Blake Bortles multiple years finish inside the top 5, inside the top 5 1 year and inside the top 8 the other with Allen Robinson. So we've seen it before. It's nothing far-fetched. It's nothing crazy. And he definitely has the supporting cast with the potential to get him into a higher tier than where people may expect him to be in his rookie season. In fact, I'd argue that Zach Wilson has a better supporting cast right now than Trevor Lawrence. Pretty easily, might I add. Let's talk about Elijah Moore, who the Jets brought in the second round, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. One of my favorite wide receivers going into the draft. And I just love this kid. I love this kid. He's so fucking good. Remember, he was on a team, and I can't stress this point enough. He was the number 4 wide receiver on a team with A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Van Jefferson. And how that team went 8-8, I have no fucking idea. It does not make any sense to me. It's still something that just blows my mind. But Elijah Moore is so good out of the slot, a little bit of a smaller guy, but just plays with a really nice pace, rhythm, and is just really fluid on the field. He was a prospect that I absolutely loved and I raved about in my Elijah Moore rookie profile video. Go check that out if you haven't. And then they top it off and they bring in my baby boy, Michael Carter, out of UNC in the 4th round, and probably the steal of the draft. Carter was a guy who could have gone in the 3rd. Never really got the 2nd round buzz, but you look at what the Jets did, and in that second round, they take Elijah Moore. They pass on a running back, right? They passed on Javonte Williams, or they passed on a Trey Sermon, and they just kind of let it play out. And so you got Michael Carter at an absolute value there in the 4th round. Again, my concern with Carter is, does he translate well into the NFL? Like, he was able to manage, about 180 carries at UNC pretty consistently, but he is a smaller guy. Profiles more so as a pass catching back more than anything. But when you go into this team that really did need a running back entering the NFL draft, and your only competition is Michael Pirine, guy who I was a bit high on compared to most last year, and Tevin Coleman, Carter should easily be able to see some opportunities here. And I'm looking at his ADP, on Sleeper, and it's like he's the 18th rookie off the board, in like that 15 to 20 range, and it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We know that there's 3 high-end running backs at the top of this draft, and then there's everybody else. So if you need that running back in that 2nd round, you gotta go get Carter. You gotta get Carter because he's one of your only options outside of the top 3. All right, let's go to Trey Lance and the 49ers, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. We'll talk about it in the future down the line here. Trey Lance is the number 1 quarterback on my rookie board, and the only other person behind him that is close is Justin Fields, who we'll also talk about in just a moment. Trey Lance is the prototypical quarterback that I love for fantasy. If you look at my Dynasty team, I'll recap this just for you guys who are new. My Dynasty quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts, and Taysom Hill. Do you know what all 4 of those guys do? They run the fucking football. They run the fucking football. And that's just my philosophy. It's something that I will bang on this table over and over again. It's the reason why I have him over Trevor Lawrence. It's the reason why I have Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence. Because I want to get the guys who can rack up the additional points, who will be able to easily negate any interceptions, any fumbles lost because of their upside to, 1, get in the end zone on a rushing capability, but also just rack up rushing yards as well. Trey Lance, an incredible, just bulky, strong man of a human, is able to just power through linebackers and just carve up defenses both through the air with his cannon of an arm and his leg. I'm really excited for Trey Lance going forward, and I can't wait to see what he does on this 49ers team with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. Are you fucking kidding me? That's a squad. He without a doubt, of all the quarterbacks drafted, he goes into the situation with the best set of weapons, and that to me is just the other thing that just elevates him over everybody else. Is you walk into a locker room with those guys where literally if you're Shanahan, all you have to say is, hey, by the way, we're going to have George Kittle run straight down the middle of the field and have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk run crossing routes over the middle. Somebody's going to be open. Good luck. There you go. What do I have here? Here's a present. No free ads. Here's a present. It's yours. Welcome to the NFL. So, what a great opportunity for Trey Lance. Then obviously Shanahan and his run schemes are one of the best in the NFL in and of itself. So, love Trey Lance in San Francisco. And then we got one of the biggest moves of the draft, and that's Justin Fields to Chicago. Guys, I almost shed a tear. I love Allen Robinson. He is my favorite wide receiver in the NFL, and he finally gets a quarterback. And he finally gets a good quarterback, because for the life of me, I still can't believe that Justin Fields was the 4th quarterback taken in this draft class. What are we doing? What are we doing? These are paid professionals that get paid to evaluate talent and run teams. And Justin Fields goes fourth QB off the board, 11th overall. Right, 11th, 12th, whatever. However far up that Chicago traded. How? How? How can you watch what Justin Fields did versus Clemson? It tore them apart. How can you watch that and come away with Zach Wilson's better than that guy? Trey Lance is better than that guy. How can you watch what Justin Fields has done at Ohio State for the past 2 years and come away saying Zach Wilson's better than that guy? Trey Lance, he's better than that guy. What? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are pointing to Ohio State's offense and the way that they run things and how well Ohio State quarterbacks translate to the NFL. Guys, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. Go turn on Justin Fields highlights. Watch the tape. He's really fucking good. He's really fucking good. And to me, this just gets to the point to where you get too cute in your analysis. You get too cute trying to pick holes and pry dudes apart and figure out the angle for the justification for why Zach Wilson should go above Justin Fields, for example. And that's why teams stay bad. Because you don't go with what's obvious. And we're going to be talking about obvious a lot throughout this offseason because that's one of the major fantasy shifts that I've had personally, where it's just go get, he's a stud, yeah, go get him. Don't overthink it. Overthinking is what's going to end up hurting your dynasty team. So go get the proven talent and be able to just use your actual football knowledge to your advantage instead of trying to get too cute with it all. And then the last quarterback that we're going to talk about here is Mac Jones to the Patriots, which just LOL. Mac Jones is fine. I don't hate him. There is something to be said with the fact that, he's played with an incredible cast of wide receivers, and what does Mac Jones look like without them? Who knows? But ultimately, even still with the Patriots, there is no supporting cast whatsoever. He, by far and away, has the worst supporting cast of these rookie quarterbacks, of these first-round rookie quarterbacks. And I'm just not really interested in Mac Jones, at least for right now. I would much rather have any of those four guys that I just mentioned before him, without question or hesitation. Now let's go over to some running backs. We're going to try and speed this up here. I just realized that we're at the 17-minute mark of this video. Holy fucking shit. There's a lot here. We may as well just turn this into... fuck it. We'll just keep going. If you guys are here, if you guys made it this far, honestly, hit that like button down below. Would really, really appreciate that. Just continue to keep the momentum going on this channel. Let's try and just get up a bit to speed here. So, Najee Harris goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round, and what a great landing spot for him. Their offensive line does need work, but I don't really care. He's going to immediately become the workhorse in that offense, and we know how great that offense can be. Just takes in James Conner's role, and he's going to get even more than what James Conner has gotten in the past, probably going to get that Le'Veon Bell kind of workload. So I'm really excited for Najee Harris. Pretty consensus the number 1 overall pick in rookie drafts, in my opinion. We talked about Travis Etienne. Let's talk about what the Denver Broncos did and trading up to get Javonte Williams, running back out of UNC. I had the Broncos. The Broncos needing a running back in this draft when I did my "What Does Every Single Team Needs" video. This was an underrated destination, I felt like, with Melvin Gordon being on a contract year. Melvin Gordon, I believe, is 28 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So they're expecting to move on from Gordon, and they just got his replacement. The comp that I've given for Javonte Williams, who is my favorite running back in this draft class, is Chris Carson. Just has that same kind of brutal running style, but it also has this ability to catch passes and just is a really well-rounded running back in and of itself. He's great. He does a lot of things well. He's a great athlete and is just the epitome, I think, of a pro-style running back who just does a bit of everything really well at a really high level. Talked about the Jets taking Carter. Trey Sermon goes to the 49ers in the 3rd round, and this was one where at the time I was like, fuck, I hate this landing spot. And then I thought about it some more. I'm like, damn, I love this landing spot, right? We know that Shanahan uses a cycle of RBs every single year, and that's my initial takeaway was just like, fuck. That's why I didn't like it. I wanted Sermon to go to a spot where he could succeed because Sermon is, in my opinion, the most underrated running back in this draft class by far. By far, I felt like Sermon had very little pre-draft buzz, and I think that's one of the reasons why my Trey Sermon video has done so well. So the same reason why I didn't like Sermon landing in San Fran is actually now the same reason that I do love that he went there, because I know that Shanahan is going to utilize him. And that's going to be a very interesting running back room with Raheem Mostert, Trey Sermon, and Jeff Wilson. And because of that running back room, the value of Trey Sermon is going to drop significantly in rookie drafts, and that's where you can strike. You're going to be able to get Trey Sermon at such a great value this year. I'm really excited about that for all Dynasty rookie drafts. Now, the running back landing spot that pained me the most and crushed my soul was Kenny Gainwell to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then they signed Kerryon Johnson. Kenny Gainwell is Antonio Gibson light. He doesn't have the same size as Gibson, and Gibson I defined as being a running back that plays wide receiver. Kenny Gainwell is a wide receiver that plays running back. Kenny Gainwell is so fucking dynamic, gets in the end zone, does everything, is a lightning bolt on the field. And then he goes to a place behind Miles Sanders and Boston Scott and Kerryon Johnson and Jordan Howard. And I just want to cry. I just want to cry. And that was the thing about this running back class. Again, there were three guys at the top than everybody else, and it was just trying to see who would go where. And then we got Trey Sermon in the third, Michael Carter in the fourth, and then in the early fourth. And then just this waiting period, just waiting for another running back to be taken off the board. And then it was Kenny Gainwell in the fucking sixth round. Just pain and suffering. Kenny Gainwell to me died when he went in sixth round, and also died when he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. So that one just hurts my soul personally. He's still being drafted high, it looks like, and I just don't get that. Last time I checked on Sleeper's ADP, I'll look right now actually. Let me look. Yeah, he's still being drafted pretty high. I want to say he was like, number 10 off the board among rookies. Kenny Gainwell right now is number 11 off the board in terms of rookies, and that makes no fucking sense to me. No fucking sense. I don't know how Kenny Gainwell sees the field right now. I really don't. I'm really struggling with that. But who knows? And then the biggest winner of this draft, I do want to talk about him because this was a guy who, trying to figure out what to do with him this offseason has been difficult. Myles Gaskin comes away as by far and away the biggest winner of the NFL draft. A lot of teams and a lot of guys were expecting the Dolphins to take a running back. They did not. So Myles Gaskin survives the 2021 offseason and is locked in to be a top 15 running back in 2021. If you held him, congratulations, you weathered the storm. I was in my head all week trying to figure out what I wanted to do with Myles Gaskin. I considered trying to flip him. I felt maybe just hold him, and I really did go back and forth. I sent out a few offers to no avail, but I do know some people who capitalized on Myles Gaskin's value last season and is now sitting pretty for the 2021 season because of that trade. Let's go over to the wide receivers now, and we just got the year of the reunion, if you ask me. We got Jamar Chase reuniting with Joe Burrow. We got Devonta Smith reuniting with Jalen Hurts, and we got Jaylen Waddle reuniting with Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, I love this. I love this trend so much, and we've started to see kind of more and more of it over the course of the past few years, and this year just cemented it, and it makes all the sense in the world, right? Chemistry between a quarterback and a wide receiver, it's so fundamental and it's so pivotal, right? It's one of the reasons why you see new teammates working out so early in the offseason. Pretty much as soon as, a wide receiver or quarterback signs in free agency, they pretty much fly out to that place and get to work on developing and running routes with their new quarterback or wide receiver. So what better way to transition guys into the NFL than pair them up with studs who they've played with before already? Like, this just seems obvious to me. So to see those three guys land in those spots, love it. And I also love it for those quarterbacks for the exact same reason. Jamar Chase is great. There's a lot of people, a lot of conversation around what role does Chase take up and how does it affect Boyd and Higgins. Moral of the story for me here is AJ Green saw 100 plus targets last year. They just go to Jamar Chase, and I don't expect a drop for Higgins or Boyd. Like, everyone's roles are just so cemented, and you literally just replaced an aging AJ Green with Jamar fucking Chase. Pretty good, if you ask me. Devonta Smith with Jalen Hurts. Congratulations, Jalen Hurts. You now have a number one wide receiver on your team. Something that you guys lacked significantly last year. Jalen Reagor didn't play up to snuff and had a really rough rookie year due to a variety of things. Didn't really play well. Had a few injuries there as well. So I think having Smith and Reagor on the outsides, like, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting, and I think you can get Jalen Reagor pretty cheap if you wanted to try to, coming off of his rookie season that was pretty down, and also the fact that they just bring in Devonta Smith. Reagor is no longer the number one on that team, but who knows how things play out. So if you're needing a wide receiver, try and target Jalen Reagor. You might just be surprised at how cheap you could get him. And then let's just talk about Jaylen Waddle real quick. And you guys know how much I loved Henry Ruggs last year. RIP to that. I'm going to talk about that at some point in the future. Watching Jaylen Waddle. They told me last year, and I didn't listen. They told me last year, hey, this Jaylen Waddle kid is better than Henry Ruggs. And then I watched Jaylen Waddle's tape, and I just thought, holy fucking shit, this kid is a stud. Unfortunately, I don't love Tua as much as I love Hurts and Burrow, so we'll see what happens there. But if you're running Jaylen Waddle as your number 3 wide receiver with Will Fuller and Devontae Parker on the outsides, good luck defenses, because Jaylen Waddle could come in and just thrive off of the bat. He's a rookie who I'm really excited about going forward. Now, let's talk about my... Oh, do I want to spoil it? I don't know if I want to spoil it or not. Let's do it. Guys, Rashod Bateman lands in Baltimore, and Rashod Bateman is my number 1 wide receiver in this rookie class. Right? I want to say that's accurate. Let me vet that real quick. I'm 99% sure that's accurate. I feel like I didn't just spew that out. Yep, he is. Yep. All right. Let's chat here. Rashod Bateman goes to a spot in Baltimore that absolutely needed a wide receiver. Absolutely needed a wide receiver, and he is a prototypical wide receiver 1 type build. He's also very fucking good. And this is the Ravens team that scores a lot of points and that has very competent quarterback play. I don't care how you view Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, but I think you can pretty consensusly say at this point right now, he's better than Burrow, better than Hurts, better than Tua, which means everybody around him should perform at a high level as well. Kind of just how that domino effect works. Now, Burrow obviously had a great year, and we can get into the weeds of that conversation, but you guys get what I'm saying. Right now, as a team, Baltimore is just better than Cincinnati. And as a result, more points, more touchdown opportunities, and just better play for Rashod Bateman, who comes in and takes over that number 1 role on that offense. I love Bateman. I love his talent. The opportunity is there. They spent a first-round draft pick on him, and he is going to be the guy. Fucking love him in the first round of your rookie drafts. We talked about Elijah Moore. Both Washington and Chicago got steals in Dyami Brown and Dazz Newsome, respectively, in this draft. Getting Dyami in the... Was Dyami a 3rd? Getting Dyami in the 3rd and Dazz in the 6th is just incredible value for where these guys were supposed to go. I thought for sure that Dazz was going to go in that 4th or 5th round range, and Dyami should have been a 2nd round pick. And, there was even buzz about Dyami going in the 1st as well. So to see these two teams who both need wide receivers badly scoop these guys up at a value, to me, just incredible landing spots. Don't love Dyami in Washington as much because they just brought in Curtis Samuel, and Dyami as number 2 would have been so fucking cool. So Dyami being a 3 there kind of hurts my soul just a little bit, but he should still be great in that role. And then Chicago with Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, who had a really great underrated rookie season, coming in and getting Dazz Newsome, who is just an absolute stud and a really great all-around wide receiver. Getting him as your number 3 with Anthony Miller not really panning out as way that many people expected him to. Dazz Newsome should see some type of value in the future going forward, so I'm excited about that. And you got Justin Fields throwing you the ball, again, like I mentioned at the top of the show. The Packers got a wide receiver with Amari Rodgers out of Clemson. He's a guy who I'm really excited about. How do I put this lightly? The Packers needed a number 2 wide receiver, and they finally fucking got one. Allen Lazard has been fine when he's been on the field. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been hyper inconsistent, and it's just one of those things where they finally did it. And I think Amari Rodgers is the most underrated wide receiver at this point in the NFL draft. Based on his landing spot and where he's at, I'm really excited to see what he can do with the Packers. We'll see how their quarterback situation comes out between Rodgers and the Packers and Jordan Love. Who fucking knows? But right now on paper, Amari Rodgers is sneaky underrated. Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall goes to Carolina in the second round. I'm going to try and contain my excitement here. Terrace Marshall very well could become the number 1 wide receiver out of this draft class. Very easily. You're looking at Robbie Anderson is in the last year of his contract. I don't know if they'll extend him or not. I'm really on the fence. He has a history with Matt Rule being his college coach at Temple, and they obviously brought Robbie Anderson for a reason last year. He's now reunited with Sam Darnold, so do they extend Anderson? Remains to be seen. DJ Moore is just an absolute stud, but when you look at the specimen that Terrace Marshall is, again, this is the guy that ran like a 4.39 if I'm not mistaken, and he's also 6'3", just built like a tank. He's everything you want a number 1 wide receiver to be, and the only reason why he dropped in the draft was because of some injury concerns. And you're looking at this Carolina Panthers team in the midst of a rebuild that seems like is trending in the right direction by all accounts. Terrace Marshall could be an absolute fucking stud in the NFL, and I would not be surprised in the absolute slightest. I love him in the back of the first or in the second round of your Dynasty draft. Just the potential is there, and I'm really looking forward to that. Just because, especially, if you're on that team with DJ Moore and you're on that team with Christian McCaffrey, like those 2 guys have the attention of the defense. So you're going to tell me we get Terrace Marshall in one-on-one coverage on the outside? Oh my God, sign me up. Sign me up, please. Thank you very much. And then lastly, let's talk about Kadarius Toney in the Giants, and I wanted to throw up. Toney was a player that, looking at his tape, I see the intrigue. This is the guy that just kind of makes shit happen. He's a joystick on the field. Very much Tyreek Hill-esque, and I hate that comparison now because Henry Ruggs burned me with that so badly last year. But he goes to the Giants, who already have Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, who admittedly gets hurt quite often, and Darius Slayton. So you got a pretty solid 3-core wide receiver there. And then you have Daniel Jones at quarterback. And I just can't get behind Daniel Jones at this point. Like, for what reason are we going to do that to ourselves? In a locker room with 3 established wide receivers already, and Jason Garrett as your head coach, or as your offensive coordinator, excuse me. This draft pick hurt my soul because I watched Kadarius Toney die when that selection was made, and then you hear the report afterwards that the Jags were looking to take him with their second first round pick instead of Etienne, and that would have been way more fun. So that fucking stinks. It hurts my soul. And R.I.P. Kadarius Toney for the time being, at least for right now. Lastly, let's wrap this up with some tight ends. I know we've been going for like 33 minutes now at this point. Thank you so much for sticking with me at this point. Let me know your favorite rookie landing spot down below in the comment section. All right, let's knock out these last 3 guys. We got Kyle Pitts in Atlanta. And this one is interesting for a variety of reasons. Number 1, they didn't pick up the option on Hayden Hurst. And then you also just have the fact of how great this offense is. Having Kyle Pitts as your 3rd offensive weapon outside of Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, pretty good, if you ask me. And then you got the Steelers, and I've talked about Kyle Pitts actually, but I was gonna go into more detail, but just go check my rookie video on Kyle Pitts, and we'll just watch. The Steelers fix their tight end problem. Eric Ebron has been fine for them, but nothing really stand out. They take Pat Friermuth out of Penn State, so gets to stay in Pennsylvania. Guess that's kind of a good thing, not really. Friermuth's comp is Gronk, and just being able to establish that position that we've seen be so prominent in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is very intriguing for me. I'm not really sure where you're going to get Friermuth right now in your dynasty startup draft, or in your dynasty rookie draft, but that is a guy who, if you miss out on Pitts or you're really needy of a tight end, that's probably easily the guy that I'm looking at after in like that second or third round range. And then lastly, let's talk about Brevin Jordan in Houston. It's getting a lot of hate. I love it. Houston is a team that's needed a tight end for so long. Like we just tried to make Jordan Akins a thing last year. We just came off of a season where we tried to make Jordan Akins a thing. So Houston gets Brevin Jordan. This is also a team that is desperately needing weapons. And yes, the quarterback situation's all up in the air. That's not my point. Brevin Jordan is also Kyle Pitts light, in my opinion. Doesn't have the same size, but kind of profiles athletically kind of the same. Just watch Brevin Jordan tape and you'll see what I'm talking about here. And Brevin Jordan, to me, is the greatest value in rookie drafts at this current moment. Because you're getting him in that third round area right now. Houston's lack of weapons, the potential talent that he has, and what I just saw on tape blatantly at Miami. I very much like Brevin Jordan. Very much like Brevin Jordan. Super intrigued. And I think people are going to start to come around. I'm not sure when that's going to be, though. But that's all I got for this video. This was long. This was long-winded. Thank you so much for sticking around. I can't thank you guys enough. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. Comment below your favorite rookie landing spot. Follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. Remember, people come and go, but championships are forever. And I will catch you in the next video.